your body thinks that it's still sunlight.
Through entrepreneurship, you cannot build a business without having people around you that not only are part of your team.
About is they purchase this sofa and they take it with them across the city, across Toronto.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Restless Millennial podcast. We are coming to you live from the University of Toronto, and I am here with Charles Javelona of Univjobs. So before we get started here, Charles, I just want to first of all thank you for coming on the Restless Millennial. I really appreciate it, and you can let everyone know what Univjobs is.
So yeah, Univjobs is a marketplace for students and recent grads to connect with employers for part-time internships, co-ops, and entry-level jobs. A lot of students come to us to earn cash and kickstart their career, and a lot of employers come to us to hire young people.
So where did the inspiration come from to start something like this? Like, what pushed you to do it? So
the idea came after I came back from Waterloo, Blackberry of my co-op. I did my first hackathon was at Google Communitech. It was my first hackathon, and I remember the amount of energy inside this room, a lot of talented people, and I remember the person who won combined 3 software into one that made 3D printing instead of a day, or I think a few weeks, into a day. I was hooked. I'm like, you can do this stuff? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And so when I came back to the co-op, I was like, okay, well, I want to build my own startup, and I want to work with some companies to build their own startup so I can learn. But I found out that there was not a lot of companies around my area that would work with students.
Around Waterloo, where you were doing
in Oakville. I was in Waterloo, did my internship over there, but I was in Oakville at Sheridan to do my to go back and to classes. Then I realized not a lot of people were going for students, and I was like, why not?
Like in the job market, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I went out to local communities, and there were a lot of networking events, and when they found out I was a student and a developer, they started asking me, do you have any other students that you know? I was like, well, I was confused because I was having a hard time looking around for opportunities, and then these employers are looking for students. So then I clicked in my head, why don't we start to bridge the gap between students and employers within the local community?
And is Univjobs focusing on, or Univjobs?
Yeah.
Is it focusing on recent graduates?
We are focusing on recent grads as well as students in post-secondary institutions.
Okay.
Whether you're a college or university, as long as you're looking for opportunities to earn cash or career building experiences, this is for you.
So if you talk about your mission statement with Univjobs, what are you expecting to change? What problem do you see, and what are you expecting to change with the company?
So the way we're thinking about this is to democratize access to students' institutions. So what I'm saying is that if I was to put it this way, we want to give companies the opportunity to give them early access to talent before they graduate.
Okay.
So schools have too much barriers put in place because these archaic technologies that they have. The career centers don't have much. They have these manual processes they've been doing. So we thought, why not give companies a better way to get to these students, and in turn make it easier for students to get in front of the employers.
Okay, that makes sense. So, let's say you're you're going to be a recent graduate,
Mm-hmm.
you're graduating in a few months, and you have no experience under your belt. Is Univjobs a good place to go to try and look for a job? Because all the other job websites, let's say Indeed, Workopolis, Monster, they ask for that 3 years of experience, and I know because I've been applying to jobs since I graduated a few months ago, and I know through experience that they all ask for the same thing. Mm-hmm. But in your opinion, I know we're going a little bit off topic here, but in your opinion, why should employers hire someone with no experience? What advantages do they get from hiring a young person out of school?
So this is a good question, because I've been asked this a few times, and the way I see it is that if you're a recent grad, you're moldable. you're willing to be open to a lot of feedback from employers, whereas somebody has 3 years or more experience, they have these sets of habits that they've already had in the past, and they're not willing to change most often because they think they're more senior.
Right.
But also, we tell employers that come to us, listen, don't expect too much from students because they're just new in the field. Why would you expect too much from them? And you're not a Google, you're not a Facebook company.
Yeah.
So why expect too much? Work with them early on so you build that experience instead of them leaving to go to maybe Toronto or bigger places. I know in Canada there's a problem about talent leaving, and a lot of the economic developers I've talked to, they said this is a huge problem for them.
Like young talent leaving, or
young talent leaving Canada. So those
for job opportunities.
Exactly.
Okay, and that's because that raises a red flag that there's something wrong here.
Yes.
For young people in terms
exactly.
of job opportunities.
Yeah. So
yeah.
This is a part where we want to help in a lot of ways. There's a lot of problems we're trying to solve, but essentially, this encompasses everything.
So if you look at your competition, like I mentioned, Monster, Indeed, Workopolis, like what makes Univjobs different from all of those, and what would push someone who from going to one of those sites to going onto your site instead to look for a job?
If you're a young person, like students and recent grad, expect that these are for you. Not having those 3 years of experience. I've actually turned down a lot of employers if they say we want 3 or 4 years of experience.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that? If you're gonna post this, then we're not gonna let you post it. I've had to turn them down many times.
Because like you've had employers who want to post like the 3 years experience thing?
Or 7 years. I was confused. I'm like, we say it's early access to post-secondary students and platforms, so they won't have that experience. So for them, you're expecting jobs that are meant for students and recent grad only. For employers, that's young people to hire, right? And we also tell them all the time, this is it. Like, this is the cutoff. Don't expect too much.
So what is the cutoff in terms of employers, like in terms of experience? Can they put like a year or two, or does that whole idea go against what you're doing?
So it depends on it, because like I know some places, like for example IT, if they say I want a student who has some co-op experience,
you might get that in school, right?
Yeah. So for certain things, yes, we still let them, but I do read them myself, and I go back with the employers. Maybe you want to tweak this so that it's more attractive to a student to apply to.
So what's the coolest job you've seen on Univjobs so far?
I think the DevOps. So in terms of the technical side, development operations, this person actually posted it, and they're a local company in Oakville, and they were looking for an entry-level role, and they're like, we want somebody who's local.
Right.
And we noticed a lot of U of T students from Toronto was applying to it, and they had other students from Oakville go into that job, and they hired that student in Oakville instead of the Toronto students. These were master's students from U of T.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm like, wow, they hired somebody locally, and these U of T students were way better.
And the person they hired didn't have a master's degree.
No.
Either.
So I thought that was really cool. But other than that, campus reps is something I think that's really nice to have on the jobs, because it gives students with no experience an opportunity to get paid and work at the same time. So those are the campus rep jobs, I think, that are really exciting for us.
And how long have you been doing this, and how's the kind of experience been so far? Like, is there a lot of people interested, or are young people finding jobs from it? Like, how's it been so far since you started?
It's actually good. Like, so 1 out of 3 students get a job on our platform.
Wow.
Recently, that person that I mentioned about the entry-level role for DevOps got hired. Like, it was a couple of days ago when we found out, and we were excited about this. And what was a question you had early on again, like to reframe it?
So just basically like how's your experience been so far with this? Like, how have people responded to it? Have young people been finding that it works? Like, they've been getting opportunities from it? And that was just kind of my question. So
for employers, most of the time, the way I would say it is we're way better right now than the industry standard, which is 3%. That you get a job within the other job boards because we're so focused on students. And
Is that the other job? That's the percentage that you're going to get a job on those other websites?
Yeah,
3%.
3%. Now,
That's insane.
we thought let's just really focus on this big thing. But for employers, they're excited because like they know that it's only young people that they're hiring.
Right.
And we make sure there's a barrier for them in terms of like you know what you're getting when you come to our platform. And for students, yes, we give them a lot of opportunities that other than, you know, maybe career building experience, there's also like side gigs
Right.
that help you still earn cash. So right now you can go on our Facebook, people have said a lot of positive things. So that's other than me saying it, there's people
Right.
who have said it, that they like the experience so far.
So like, how does the program work? Like, how do employers go there and post jobs? Or if like,
Right.
if you're a student, you're going on the website, do you need to pay a subscription fee, or
No.
can you just browse jobs?
So the way it works for students is you go on Univjobs.ca and then make a profile. You'll have Chip, our robo recruiter, go into our take you to this sign up form process, and then at some point you'll be taken into the job listings. Right now, the way it works is like everybody will see the job listings, but at some point we're tweaking it so that employers will only post to specific campuses.
Okay.
So if the way I say it now is that when you're an employer, like in a few weeks, what you'll see is that you go in, make a profile, and then say, I want a student maybe who's a woman in computer science who knows X, Y, and Z skills. They're bilingual in French, and they are their last year.
And you can search like based on the school if you're an employer. You say like, I want someone from U of T. You can search using that kind of, and the algorithm will do that for you.
Yeah, so we don't have the algorithm yet, but that's where we're working with.
Right.
Because we realize there's certain aspects that you still need to filter out a person based on if they're their last year students, you would want an entry level role.
Right.
You're not going to ask a first year student to have an entry level role. So
No.
we thought there's a better way to recommend jobs based on a student's profile.
So your goal with as well with Univjobs is to make it kind of like a personalized experience for
Yeah,
employers, right?
exactly.
And that's following the trend with like everything, even in media, everything's becoming personalized. And, you know, what you watch on YouTube, Netflix, everything is super personalized these days. And I think it's really powerful that you're following that trend in job searching as well. Because it's and another thing I want to bring up as well is what you were talking earlier about why employers should hire young people. Because even like thinking of myself, like if I'm going to a job right now, like I'm just out of school, like I'm gonna work harder than anyone else who is
For
there.
sure.
And so like sometimes like it literally blows my mind that employers don't consider, like let's say this is experience that I'm doing right now, like the Restless Millennial for me is job experience. But a lot of employers won't consider that experience.
Interesting.
Right? Is that something you've kind of thought about when starting Univjobs?
That this was my own experience.
Yeah. Like did you yourself before starting this like try to get a job out there and like using those job websites and realize that it was like a tough experience?
It is tough because then I'm competing with people who have more experience, and to me it doesn't make sense. Where I would go. Actually, let me go back here.
Yeah.
I've met employers who go on our site and tell me Indeed doesn't work for them and LinkedIn doesn't work for them because they post jobs meant for students or recent grads, but then they have senior people applying to them.
Yeah, and you can even see if you have LinkedIn Premium, it tells you like 57 have a master's degree, and it's like if you don't have a master's degree, it's like shit, I'm in like the bottom 20 here.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
and they complain about the whole process. So then, what happens is that both sides waste time.
Yeah,
and then now they have to go back to square one because they have to again find younger people to hire.
Right.
So it just made sense for us to do it. But going back to what you said, what you're doing I think is great because you're developing a lot of skills here. You know, communication skills, you have to coordinate with people, you have to build. This is a media company.
Right.
So then marketing experience here comes in. There's a lot of things that you can say to the employers that you've done. It's just I think most young people don't understand how to showcase themselves,
how to articulate the experience they have in school and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so certain things, for example, I know a lot of students I talk to say, you know, what's the point of me saying I work at McDonald's? or Tim Hortons, I think that's great because
my first job was McDonald's.
they gave you one of the best trainings, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, honestly, they're amazing
Yeah.
at, you know, in terms of like life skills. You
Yeah.
learn so much working at McDonald's. Like you should like. I've heard that employers even even if you're applying for like a corporate job, they see McDonald's as good experience.
It is,
Right.
and a lot of students don't think so.
No.
And I want to show students like these skills that you learn, customer service, I think is
People skills.
Yeah, they're people skills, and they look for that. As much as you know about tech or these hard skills, being able to work with someone well and collaborate as a team is as important, actually more important, because you're going to be working with people in the industry. So they're very important.
Yeah. So would you have any other tips for students and recent grads who are like trying to get into the workforce?
Yeah, so what I would do if I was to start now, I would cold email people that I know that work in that company that's my dream job, and then find out, okay, well, what do I need to do in order to get into your company? What skills do I have to learn? So you build that rapport with that person. And
So what if you don't know someone in the company you like your dream job?
Okay,
Where do you go from there then?
I would probably pick up the phone
Yeah.
and call
Just call
someone.
it?
Yeah, so try calling someone. There's tools out there that you can use to find someone's email.
Oh really?
Yeah, so I use Rocket Reach. There's used to be LinkedIn Reporter. I think it's different.
And
now.
how do those like services find the emails?
I actually
Do
don't
they like
know.
hack into like the workplace's like system? And
I actually don't know,
Yeah.
but what I know is that you can get someone's email,
That's crazy.
and this is a skill that you would want to have is
Yeah.
cold emailing people. And I challenge every student and recent grad out there to do that. It's just cold email someone, ask directly what you want. Don't beat around the bush. Just
Yeah.
ask someone what you need, and say you're a student or recent grad. Most of the time, if you're younger and you just finished school, they're most likely to help you out because they know what it was like to be in your position.
So if you go back to that example you give, do you think that's a good template for how people should approach it? Like, you know, let's say you go and you find someone who works at the company.
Yeah.
You ask them, like, what kind of skills do I need to develop to
Yeah.
get into your position?
Yeah.
Do you think that's, like, just a good template to use?
I'd say not in their position, but more of like the position you want to be in.
Right,
Like
right.
if you can refer me to someone that is in that.
You shouldn't tell them that you want to steal the
Yeah,
job.
yeah, that's not the case. Yeah, you don't want that. But really, just like you want to be in the company, you've been thinking about going there and work for them because it's such an awesome place. You know, it's your dream job.
Right.
That would be one. And the next thing I say, if you don't have much experience, volunteer for a company, and volunteer or find internships that pay you. Those are good ones. I've been looking at other companies and I reach out to them saying, hey, I heard that you have some internships that pay students. I think this is great. We have a lot of students on our platform. Would you like to work with us? Normally, a lot of them say yes. Some of them say no, but most of the time they've said yes to us. So yeah, find paid internships if you can, because either it's your first step to get into the company.
Right.
Right.
First step to make an impression.
Exactly.
So even on Univjobs, can employers post like unpaid internships?
We give them that option and we show to
You
students.
still get the experience. It's still
Yeah.
you still get value from it, even though if you don't get paid, right?
Mm-hmm. Actually, just tip. In Canada, it's illegal to pay someone outside school for unpaid internships.
Yeah.
You can. So then, when they say unpaid internships on our platform, I ask them, could you do a volunteer instead?
Mm-hmm.
You can only get unpaid internships while you're in school.
Yeah.
That is the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tip out there. I don't want people to be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just people should know that.
Yes.
They have to be getting paid if they're out of school.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or else it's just labor for like free labor, right?
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, that's against the Univjobs mission, right?
Exactly.
So what are your long-term plans for it? Do you have any long-term plans? Or
Yes,
is it
we
kind
do.
of- Cool.
So right now we're in 40 plus institutions in Ontario. What we want to do is expand to BC, Alberta, Quebec, some of these cities where some of the companies have been asking us to go to. We're such a small team right now that we don't want to do that. So at some point we want to expand to different places so that
So if you expand to Quebec, there will be one requirement: the French
What would
language.
that? Oh
Right,
yes,
speak.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, so we will work on the French version of our platform.
Yeah.
Just tweak the wordings for it, for sure.
Yeah. And so I always ask this last question to all of my guests on the Restless Millennial.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read the question already, but I'll ask
I
it
did.
anyways.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered for when you leave this earth?
I'd say I want people to remember me when, for the people around me, is that I've made a positive impact for them in their lives. So either be a small thing such as, when they were down, I talked to them and made them feel better. Or it could be something where they were broke and I helped them out in some ways. Because my mantra is that just do the opposite of what your dad did. So my father pulled people down a lot. And I was like, well, let's do the opposite and pull people up. Or,
So what if your dad did great things? Should you do bad things?
That was not the case for me.
No, I know it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
That's interesting though.
It is.
So where did that come from?
So yes, that my father was not
Yeah.
the best role model
Okay.
out there. Well, actually, if you think about it, he was the best role model because he taught me not to be like him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
So that's the way I see it. So
Is there anything else that you'd want to be remembered for, or just kind of, doing not what your dad did?
Well, what it means is like every time I'm around people, I want to make sure that I lift them up.
Right. Okay.
So just like with our platform, we're giving this opportunity for a lot of students to
normally
have.
don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and make sure that we move the world forward somehow. And this is for right now. What we're doing is empowering people to have better access to jobs, because a lot of people have no access to it.
Yeah. That would be a good slogan: moving the world forward.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have a slogan yet.
No, so
No.
I will put that
I'm just
into
kidding.
consideration.
Anyways, thanks so much for being on the show, Charles. It was a pleasure. I wish you all the best with Univjobs.
Thank
and
you.
if people want to learn more, how can they,
Right.
get in contact? Is there an Instagram, website?
So yeah, let me start with the Instagram.
Sure.
It's at Univjobs. We have a Facebook page. Just type Univjobs and click follow us. And then for our website, go to https. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Just go to Univjobs.ca and sign up if you want to get access to more jobs while you're at school.
Sounds great. You heard the man. Thanks, Charles.
Thank you.
Keep hustling, guys.